They say when you're living in a tent with your 9-year-old daughter, you stop believing in luck. But that morning, under a ridge of blackberry brambles where we'd been camping for 2 weeks, I kicked something solid beneath a blanket of wet leaves. Metal, rusted at the edges. A trunk the size of a carry-on suitcase, padlocked but brittle, the kind of container people bury when they're running out of time. Mia was still asleep in the tent, her breath fogging the nylon. We'd been homeless for 4 months, since the landlord sold the duplex, and we couldn't scrape together first and last for anywhere else. I'd been working kitchen prep at a diner 6 miles away, but the hours were inconsistent, and childcare cost more than I earned. So we lived in the state forest, rationing propane, filtering creek water, pretending it was an adventure. The trunk was locked, but the hasp had rusted through. I snapped it with a stone. Inside, papers, dozens of them, bundled in wax cloth, mostly dry. Land deeds, tax records, handwritten notes on yellowed stationery. And at the very top, a photograph of a man and woman standing in front of a narrow 2-story house, backs to a field, smiling like they'd just won something. The house looked abandoned even in the photo, paint peeling, shutters crooked, but there was a mailbox number visible. And in the bottom corner, someone had written in pencil, 1247 Crescent Hollow Road. Paid in full, 1989. That was 36 years ago. The house could be rubble by now. Or it could still be standing, forgotten, waiting. I didn't tell Mia right away. Instead, I spent that afternoon at the public library, using their computers while she did homework at a corner table. Property records showed 1247 Crescent Hollow as tax delinquent, owner deceased, no heirs located. The county had been sitting on it for years. Bureaucracy stalled by a clerical error. The original deed listed the property under 2 last names, and no one had bothered to untangle it. But the papers in the trunk told a different story. There were receipts for lumber, roofing, a new well pump. There were letters between a man named Vincent Holloway and a woman named Clara Sims, discussing repairs, plans to expand the back room, dreams of fruit trees. The last letter, dated 2003, was from Clara to Vincent. If something happens to me, don't let them take the house. It's yours. It's ours. Finish what we started. Vincent's death certificate was in the bundle too. He died in 2011. No listed survivors. Clara had passed 5 years earlier. The trunk had been their insurance policy. Their proof, buried in the woods near the property line, waiting for someone to need it. That someone was me. Chapter 1. The Trunk and the Trespass. The first time I saw the house at 1247 Crescent Hollow, I understood why they'd loved it. It sat at the end of a dirt road that forked off the highway, half hidden by pines, surrounded by overgrown fields gone to wildflowers and brambles. The structure itself was tired, roof sagging, porch boards warped, windows patched with cardboard, but it stood. It had bones. Mia squeezed my hand. Is this ours? Not yet, I said, but maybe. We'd walked 3 miles from the bus stop, the trunk strapped to my back. I set it down on the porch, tested the door. Locked, but one of the windows slid open with a scrape, and I boosted Mia through, then followed. Inside smelled like damp wood and mouse nests. The furniture was still there. A couch with springs poking through, a kitchen table covered in dust, mason jars lined up on shelves. In the back bedroom, I found more evidence of Vincent and Clara. A wall calendar frozen on April 2011, a dresser drawer full of neatly folded work shirts, a nightstand with reading glasses and a folded newspaper. There was no power, no running water, but there was a roof and walls and a wood stove in the corner of the main room. Mia ran her fingers along the windowsill, where someone had carved initials. VH plus CS, 1987. They lived here together, she said. They did. And now we do? I didn't want to lie to her. We're going to try. That night we slept on the floor with our sleeping bags, the trunk beside us. I stayed awake listening to the house, its creaks, its drafts, the way the wind made the walls hum. It felt alive, like it had been waiting too. In the morning, I started making a plan. Chapter 2. The Paperwork Game. The county clerk's office was a fluorescent maze of cubicles and impatient civil servants. I brought the trunk, the deeds, the letters, and the death certificates. I explained the situation. Property abandoned, original owners deceased, no heirs, clear proof of intent. I was polite. I was prepared. The clerk, a woman named Denise with reading glasses on a chain, scanned the documents. "This is a mess," she said. "Dual ownership, no probate, delinquent taxes going back 14 years. You're looking at liens, back payments, legal fees." "How much?" She tapped her keyboard. $8,000, give or take. I had $300 in my pocket. What if I can prove I'm occupying it? What if I start paying the current taxes? Denise looked at me over her glasses. "You got a lawyer?" "No." "Then you're going to need one. Or you can wait for the county to auction it and hope no one else bids." I thanked her and left. Outside, Mia was sitting on a bench swinging her legs. Did we get the house? Not yet. But I wasn't giving up. That afternoon, I went to the public defender's office and asked about adverse possession laws. The attorney, a tired-looking woman named Karen, explained, if I could prove continuous occupation, maintain the property, pay current taxes, and no one contested it, I might have a claim after 7 years. 7 years, I repeated. Or you settle the back taxes and clear the title, she said. Faster, but expensive. What if I can find someone who knew Vincent and Clara? Someone who could verify their intent? She tilted her head. That might help, but you'd still need to deal with the liens. I left with a packet of forms and a cautious sense of direction. That night, back at the house, I cooked spaghetti on the wood stove while Mia did homework by flashlight. The power company had said it would cost $600 to reconnect service. I couldn't afford it yet, but I could afford propane, firewood, and hope. In one of the trunk's bundles, I found a letter from a neighbor, someone named Earl Hutchins, who'd helped Vincent replace the porch steps in 1998. The return address was 3 miles away. The next morning, I walked there. Earl was still alive, 86 years old, living in a tidy ranch house with a vegetable garden. When I explained who I was and why I was there, his face softened. Vincent was a good man, he said. Clara, too. They poured everything into that place, broke my heart when it went empty. Would you be willing to write a statement, confirming they owned it, that they intended it to stay in the family? Earl nodded slowly. I'll do better than that. I'll talk to the county, and I'll spread the word. People around here remember them. We don't like seeing good houses go to rot. If you're enjoying this journey so far, tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. Chapter 3. The first real repairs. With Earl's help, word spread. A man named Tom, who'd worked construction with Vincent, showed up one Saturday with lumber and roofing tar. A woman named Linda, who'd been Clara's friend, brought cleaning supplies and food. Slowly, the house began to breathe. We patched the roof first, the section above the back bedroom where rain had been pooling. Tom showed me how to strip the old shingles, seal the underlayment, and nail down new sheets of corrugated metal we'd salvaged from a demolished barn. It took 3 weekends, but when the next storm came, the bedroom stayed dry. Mia helped Linda scrub the kitchen, pulling out mouse nests and washing down the shelves. We found more traces of Vincent and Clara, recipes clipped from magazines, a jar of buttons, a handwritten inventory of seeds they'd planted in 1992. Clara had been a gardener. Her notes were meticulous, tracking what grew well and what failed, sketching out bed layouts, saving seeds in labeled envelopes. I planted some of those seeds, tomatoes, beans, squash, in the patch of cleared ground behind the house. Mia watered them every morning with buckets from the creek. It was slow, tangible work, and it felt like a promise. But the bureaucracy moved slower. The county demanded proof of tax payments, verification of intent, and a resolution of the dual ownership issue. I spent hours in the library, filling out forms, making copies, writing letters. The clerk, Denise, had softened slightly, but she warned me. Someone's been asking about this property, a developer looking to flip land. My chest tightened. Can they take it? If you don't secure the title, they can bid on it at auction. I had 5 months before the next auction. 5 months to pay off $8,000 in back taxes, clear the liens, and prove my claim. I picked up a second job washing dishes at a truck stop, working nights after the diner shift. Mia stayed with Linda during those hours. I barely slept. But the house was changing. The roof held. The garden sprouted. Neighbors dropped off furniture, tools, a propane heater. One night, sitting on the porch while Mia slept, I found another bundle in the trunk. Letters between Vincent and his brother, discussing a small life insurance policy. The policy was still active, unclaimed, worth $12,000. It had been sitting in a forgotten account for 14 years, waiting for a beneficiary. I stared at the paper, hands shaking. This could change everything. Chapter 4. The Storm and the Choice. The insurance company required proof of relationship. I wasn't related to Vincent and I couldn't claim the policy directly. But Karen, the public defender, suggested another route. Petition the county to recognize me as a caretaker and use the funds to settle the tax debt. It was a long shot. It required letters from neighbors, proof of continuous occupation, evidence that I was maintaining the property in Vincent and Clara's spirit. I spent 2 weeks gathering signatures, statements, photographs of the repairs. Earl wrote a letter calling me the best thing to happen to that house in years. Tom documented the roof work. Linda testified that Mia and I had brought life back to a place that had been dying. The county scheduled a hearing. I wore my cleanest shirt, brought the trunk, laid out the evidence. The developer was there too. A man in a pressed suit who argued that the property should go to auction, that my claim was sentimental, not legal. The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes, listened to both sides. Then she asked me a question. Why this house? I told her the truth. Because it was someone's dream. And because my daughter deserves a home. She ruled in my favor. Conditional. I had 6 months to pay the taxes and clear the title. If I succeeded, the house was mine. If I failed, it would go to auction. I used the insurance funds to pay off the liens and most of the back taxes. With what was left, I reconnected the power, fixed the plumbing, and patched the front porch. The house was livable now, warm, solid. But 2 weeks before the final deadline, a storm hit, the kind that splits trees and floods basements. The wind tore part of the new roof, and water poured into the back bedroom. I worked through the night with Tom and Earl, nailing tarps, hauling buckets, trying to save what we'd built. By dawn, the damage was contained, but I was exhausted. Mia found me on the porch, staring at the torn metal sheets. She sat beside me, leaned her head on my shoulder. "We're not giving up," she said. "No," I agreed. "We're not." Chapter 5. The Garden and the Letter. Spring came hard and bright. The seeds Clara had saved bloomed into a garden that fed us and half the neighbors. Tomatoes hung heavy on the vines. Beans climbed stakes we'd fashioned from saplings. Squash sprawled across the cleared ground, leaves wide as dinner plates. Mia worked the rows every morning, talking to the plants like Clara's notes had suggested. She'd found one of Clara's journals in the trunk, a small leather-bound book with sketches of vegetables, pressed flowers, and handwritten observations. Tomatoes thrive near basil, beans fix nitrogen, rotate crops yearly. It became Mia's Bible. She studied it, memorized it, adapted it. By mid-June, we were giving away produce at the farmer's market, trading for tools and lumber. People started calling it Clara's Garden, and the name stuck. I paid the final tax installment in July. The county clerk, Denise, stamped the paperwork and handed me a copy of the deed, my name on it now alongside Vincent and Clara's legacy. "You did it," she said, almost smiling, "against the odds." "We did it," I corrected, thinking of Mia, Earl, Tom, Linda, and everyone who'd believed in us. But the story wasn't finished. In the bottom of the trunk, beneath the last bundle of papers, I found a sealed envelope addressed to "Whoever finds this." The handwriting was Clara's. I opened it on the porch that evening, Mia beside me. The letter was dated 2006, a few months before Clara died. "If you found this trunk, the house is probably empty, and we're probably gone. Vincent and I built this place with our own hands, and we filled it with love, even when times were hard. We always hoped it would outlast us, that someone would find it and give it the life it deserves. The garden was my dream. Vincent's was the house. Together, we made something that mattered. If you've stayed, if you've fought for it, then you've become part of that dream. Don't let anyone tell you it's just wood and nails, it's memory. It's proof that ordinary people can build something extraordinary, take care of it, and take care of each other. I read it twice, then handed it to Mia. She read it silently, eyes shining, then folded it carefully and tucked it back into the envelope. She knew, Mia said. Yeah, I whispered. She knew. Chapter 6. The House That Breathes. A year after we moved in, the local paper ran a story, From Homeless to Homeowner, How a Father and Daughter Rebuilt a Forgotten House. It spread online, and within days people started reaching out, families in similar situations asking for advice, sharing their own stories of loss and resilience. Linda suggested we host a workshop, teaching others how to navigate the bureaucracy, find resources, and reclaim abandoned properties. Earl offered his barn for meetings. Tom volunteered to teach basic repair skills. We called it the Crescent Hollow Project, named after the road where our journey had started. The house became more than ours. It became a gathering place, a symbol. Every Saturday, neighbors showed up to help someone else's rebuild, patching roofs, clearing land, filling out forms. Mia started a seed-sharing program, distributing packets from Clara's original collection with handwritten notes. These seeds traveled from 1992 to now. Plant them with care. The developer never came back. The county started referring families to us when properties went delinquent. We helped 3 families secure homes in the first year, 4 more in the second. Each time, I thought of Vincent and Clara, their buried trunk, their quiet bet that kindness and paper trails could outlast bureaucracy. Mia is 12 now. She tends the garden like it's hers, because it is. She talks about becoming a landscape architect, designing spaces for people who've been forgotten. She keeps Clara's journal on her nightstand, pages filled with her own notes and sketches. The house still creaks. Drafts still sneak through gaps in winter, but it breathes with us now, with everyone who's passed through, with the memory of 2 people who refused to let it die. On the mantel, we keep the photograph from the trunk, Vincent and Clara smiling in front of the house. Beside it, a new photo, Mia and me standing in the same spot, the house patched and painted, the garden blooming behind us. We didn't find treasure in that trunk. We found proof that shelter isn't just walls and a roof. It's the belief that you belong somewhere and the willingness to fight for it. The papers didn't change our lives quickly. They changed them slowly, deliberately, with every form we filled, every nail we drove, every seed we planted. And that's the kind of change that lasts. Some inheritances aren't wealth or land. They're the courage to claim what was always meant to be shared. If this restoration story has you hooked, hit like. It helps us bring more lost places back to life. Subscribe for more true-to-life tales of rebuilding, memory, and hidden history. See you in the next story.